My dear friends, welcome back to the electronics world. This is our lecture number 3 in which we are going to study about atomic structure. Friends, before coming to the atomic structure, let's recap the topics that we had covered in our lecture number 2. In lecture number 2, first we came across the term electronics. We defined in two ways. The first definition was electronics is that branch of science which deals with flow of current in vacuum, gas or in semiconductor. The second one, which was given by Dr. G.S. Reddy, stands like this: electronics deals with flow of charge or electrons in various materials and devices such as semiconductors, resistors, capacitors, inductors and nanostructures, etc. And do you know from which term this huge branch of study has been named? It is the term electron, from which this field of science, electronics, has been coined. Apart from that, we also studied about different types of electronic components. In a broad sense, we studied about active components and passive components, and from the components point of view, we studied about resistors, capacitors, inductors. Also, we got a knowledge about how to calculate the resistance value of a resistor by using color code method. Apart from that, we also studied about importance of electronics, in which we gained some idea about rectification, conversion of light, industrial electronics, consumer electronics, image processing, medical applications, etc. etc. My dear friends, these were the application part of electronics, and if you have not gone through my lecture number 2, I request you to please go through that, because in that lecture number 2 we have discussed some of the basic things about electronics, which is very important for our further studies. My dear friends, it's time we started our lecture number 3, which is atomic structure. But before starting atomic structure, I would like to ask you some questions based on some of the activities that I am going to say. Please think of an appropriate answer for the questions, and please do not try to do the activities at home. Okay, so all of you can see this paper. It's a piece of paper, and I am having a pair of scissors with me. Just let me try to cut it. Very much I could able to cut it. Okay. This is a duster. What I am going to do? I am going to again try to cut it using this pair of scissors. Very difficult. With this pair of scissors, it is quite impossible. Okay. Let's try to repeat the same thing with this plastic box. Very difficult, or literally impossible with this pair of scissors. The question arises, why was I able to cut this piece of paper, but I could not cut this duster? Also, I could not cut this plastic box. You may say the paper is very soft and the plastic box and duster, they are hard. Yes, that is one of the property of the solid. Solid may be soft or hard. So what makes this difference, whether a solid is soft or hard? Why it becomes soft or it becomes hard? What is the main thing behind it? Okay, let's pause for a moment. Okay, again I am taking this duster. Let me assume that I have some technology using which I can cut this duster into pieces. Assume that this duster has been cut into pieces. So what is the thing that I am going to get once this duster is cut to the very last point? Okay, very small thing, something very small. So if we try to do the same thing with this plastic box, what we will get? If we try to cut this plastic box using some technology to the very last point, so what we are going to get? Something very small. All of you can see this glass. Okay, so if this glass is hammered and broken, I am not able to do it, I cannot do it here. Okay, if it is, assume that it has been broken to the very last point. So what you are going to get? Again something very small. So the question arises, if I am cutting this duster to the very last point, I am getting something very small. If I am able to cut this plastic box to the last point, I am getting something very small. Again, if I am able to break this glass to the very last point, I am also getting something very small. So question arises, what is that very small which has created the difference that this is duster, this is plastic box, and this is glass? Okay, let us do something else. This is a glass. What I am going to do? I am going to insert a marker pen like this. I am able to insert it. I can ensure that this marker pen is not on the ground. It has not been dropped into the ground. Every part of the marker pen is above the ground, and some part are inside the glass as well. Okay. So this is a bottle which contains some water, or you can say some liquid. If I will try to put it inside like this, can I do it without dropping a single drop of water on the ground? I can do it, but I need some special care for that. But for this marker pen, I do not need that much special care. I can just simply put it like this. So why I am able to do that? You may say that this marker pen has some fixed shape and size, but this water does not have any fixed shape and size. So due to that reason, I am able to put this marker into the glass like this, but while putting this liquid or water into the glass, I have to take extra care for that one, because it does not have any particular shape and size. Okay, so let us think of a gas. We know that gas also does not have any particular shape and size. So what is why there is the difference that is the gas and this is a liquid, and why there is a difference that this is a liquid and this is a solid? What is that thing? Where is the magic? Where is the magic that whenever I am cutting the solids like duster, plastic box and this glass to the last point, I am getting something small. Again this these solids are of different types as well. What makes that difference? Okay, now I will do something. Pour some water into the glass. Okay, very much I was able to. So the total amount of water was here. in this plastic box, I'm sorry, inside this uh, bottle, I could put it, I could pour some of the water into this glass. But the thing is that, can I put this box partly into this glass and partly into something else? No. Without breaking it, without spending much of our energy, I cannot do it. But for pouring this water or liquid into this gas, I could do it easily. So why this is the difference? The magic is in the atomic structure. So let's kickstart our topic, atomic structure. The atomic theory deals with the structure of atom. It is nothing but atomic structure, in which atom is described as the smallest particle of any matter that exists on this earth. So the modern atomic theory is more or less based on three ancient atomic theories or model, which are Dalton's atomic theory, Thomson's atomic model, and Rutherford's atomic theory. Apart from these three theories, there were several other attempts to study the structure of atom, which were not noteworthy. So that is why we are going to study about these three theories only, because they are the basic theories on which the modern atomic theory is based on. So let us come to the Dalton's atomic theory. In this lecture, we are going to study about Dalton's atomic theory. This theory was proposed by English chemist John Dalton in 1808. It was first of its kind in which a systematic approach and scientific approach was made to study the structure of the atom. His theory is based on two laws. One of them is law of conservation of mass, another is law of constant composition. Apart from these two laws, there are some postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. So the postulates are: all matter is composed of tiny particles known as atom. Which is indivisible. The second part is that the atoms of a given element have identical mass and properties. The third one is a compound is a combination of two or more different types of atoms. The fourth one is a chemical reaction is rearrangement of atoms. So these are the four postulates based on which Dalton's atomic theory is studied. All matter is composed of tiny particles known as atom, which is indivisible. All atoms of a given element have identical mass and properties. A compound is a combination of two or more different types of atoms. A chemical reaction is rearrangement of atoms. So what is the basis of Dalton's atomic theory? So first of all, law of conservation of mass. The law of conservation of mass says that matter cannot be created nor destroyed, but they can be converted into any other form. We can take the example of water, which has the chemical formula H2O. So in that case, we can see that it is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. But after the so what we can do is that we can convert it to ice, which is solid, and it can be also converted to gas. So it is the only compound in this universe which exists in all the three forms. Other example I can give, if we burn a wood, it is converted into ash. So if we can measure and for burning of that wood, we require oxygen. So if we can able to measure the mass of the oxygen and mass of the wood before it is burned, so we will find that the sum total of mass of the wood and the oxygen is equals to the sum total of the final product, mass of the final product. That means the ashes and water vapors and carbon dioxide gas. So that means we can say that the law of conservation of mass says that matter is cannot be created nor destroyed, but they can be converted into one form to another form. So that is by means of any physical or chemical change. So in a chemical reaction also we can see that the total amount of element present before the chemical reaction is equals to the sum total of the elements present in the final product. So we can say that this applies well. This can be well explained using the atomic theory that is given by John Dalton. The law of constant composition says that the proportion of each element in any compound is always the same, irrespective of its amount or place of origin. So we can think of our common salt, whose formula is NaCl. This is known as your sodium chloride. So we can see that this consists of sodium and chloride. So this law of constant composition says that, so this formula, or you can say that the proportion of sodium and chloride in this common salt is same. It does not vary with the amount of sodium chloride, or it does not vary with the place of its origin. Now let us come to postulates. The postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. The first postulate is all matter is composed of tiny particles known as atoms, which are indivisible. John Dalton believed that, or he hypothesized that, this theory of atom can be used to explain these two laws, that is law of conservation of mass and law of constant composition. In his theory, he hypothesized that atom is very small and it is indivisible. He assumed that the atom to be very solid in nature, massy, impenetrable, and this is how what he assumed, because he did not have any scientific equipment to actually make some experiment and prove his findings. Second one, all atoms of a given element have identical mass and properties. So that means if we take two numbers of carbon atoms, they should have identical mass and properties. If we can take 5 number of chlorine atoms, they should have identical mass and properties. Let us take 15 number of hydrogen atoms. So they should have identical mass and properties. In other words, he also tried to explain that if the elements are different, then their mass and properties are also different, should be different. So this is what that means. A chlorine atom should be different from hydrogen atom. There may be some common features or common properties, but the complete set of properties is different. The third one, a compound is a combination of two or more different types of atoms. A compound is formed by combining two or different types of atoms. Let us tell. Again, let us come back to our sodium chloride. Sodium chloride, as we all know that Na plus Cl minus is equals to NaCl. Or in simple terms we can write also it is a combination of sodium and chlorine. So what this indicates, sodium is a very highly reactive metal. Na is a high and this chlorine, it is toxic gas. So we can see here that sodium is highly reactive metal and chlorine is a toxic gas, but whenever they are combined together, they form sodium chloride, which is nothing but our common salt we can sprinkle on our food. So he hypothesized that a compound is a combination of two or more different types of atoms. Oh, yes. The next one is a chemical reaction is rearrangement of atoms. So again we can go back to this sodium chloride. So you can see that whenever before this reaction there was the presence of this sodium and chlorine. But after the reaction also sodium and chlorine both are still present. So this indicates that atom cannot be created nor destroyed, because no atom is created or nor destroyed. So that is why both the atoms are both the elements are still present after the reaction is completed. So this is what our postulates of the Dalton's atomic theory. So there are certain drawbacks or limitations of Dalton's atomic theory. limitations that he hypothesized that atoms are indivisible, but atoms actually, the modern atomic theory says atoms are not indivisible. Atoms are not indivisible because we know that atoms consist of neutrons, protons and electrons. The second one is that he thought that all atoms of a given element are of identical mass and properties, but actually it is not the case always. All atoms of a given element may or may not have identical mass and properties. That is what is known as our isotopes, which he could not explain. Similarly, all atoms of different elements may or may not have different mass and properties. That means he assumed that when the elements are different, it should have different sets of mass and properties, but that is not the case always, because in isobars we can have same set of properties of different elements. He also assumed that whenever the elements combine to form a compound, they actually combine in whole number ratios. So here Na and Cl, they are in whole number ratios. He did not think that they can actually combine with fractions of ratios. Like he did not assume that Na can be 0.5 and Cl can be 0.5, because he thought that atom is indivisible. But actually this is not the case. Actually all atoms, so atoms may or may not combine in whole number. Ratio. So this is our Dalton's atomic theory. If you are having any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video.